for joining us here. This is O.M. Joe. I'm a president of the SWT Bay Gallery. I am pleased that welcome everybody here. It's a wonderful exhibition and guests and also artists. I'd like to introduce our wonderful moderator tonight, and she will introduce each artist. Our moderator tonight, Natalia Kolodzei, is an art curator and historian. She is the executive director of the Wald Foundation. She curated over 80 art exhibitions in US, Europe, and Russia. And also she wrote many editions and books related to artwork. Let's welcome Natalia.
Hello, and welcome to Sylvia, Wald, and Poignant Gallery for the artist talk and discussion. Time is light. Tonight we embark on an artistic journey exploring the interplay of light and time through the eyes of extraordinary multidisciplinary artists Alexandra Dementieva, Frants and Raphaele Shirley. Light is fundamental force in our universe, has captivated human imagination for many centuries, from ancient mythologies that revel sun gods and goddesses to modern physics that grapple with its paradoxical nature. Light continues to be a source of wonder and mystery, but light also, not just scientific discovery, it's a storyteller, communicator, and catalyst for emotions, and as we're here tonight. It shapes our perception of time, illuminates the fleeting moments that make up our lives. It reveals the hidden depths of our emotions. It ignites and sparks the change. Time is light. These three artists explore these themes and their unique interpretation of this complex relationship. Through their installations, they connect and power of light to create this experience that invite us to reflect on our own relationship with the time and the world around us. Alexandra Dementieva interactive installation, work Breathless, explore the connection between the language, breath, and the ever-shifting political landscape. Her work invites us to consider our individual agency in shaping the collective narrative. Frants' Simple Clever series delves into the history of capturing the movement, the kinetic movement, through the light from the ancient shadow patterns to modern digital animations and technologies. Her installations are testament to humanity's enduring fascination, preserving fleeting moments of time. Raphaele Shirley, in its collaboration with the composer Rhys Chatham, celebrates the vibrance of the present moment through a symphony of light and sound. Shirley evokes the emotional and experiential dimensions of time. Tonight, we have the privilege to hear from the primary sources themselves, the artists. So we'll dive into the creative processes, explore the meaning behind the installations, and discuss the broader themes that connect their all three works and three artists. So let's dive into the light and discover the stories it has to tell. Please join me in welcoming Raphaele Shirley, Frants, and Alexandra Dementieva. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today. And so let's the conversation begin. Our first speaker today will be Raphaele Shirley. She was born in Wisconsin and based in New York. She is an internationally recognized multimedia artist, and she worked with the sculpture, light, public art, performances, which sits in the intersection of art and technology. Throughout her work, she explores the topic of physics, civilization, through time, and finite coexistence. Please tell us about your work.
Hi everyone, thank you. And thank you for this. Is this on? It doesn't. Yeah. Thank you for the Sylvia, Wald, and Poignant Gallery for receiving us in this space. I've had the joy of working for about 6 years or 7 with Natalia Kolodzei in multiple installations, and I've done some of my best work working with her. And it's always been a bit of a challenge because she loves to throw me into the space of experiment. And so in this case, I was able to experiment with an idea which has been in my mind for probably about, I'd say, 8 years. And it stemmed from a series of performances that I started with the musician and also the interactive artist G.H. And the project was called 3x3x3, and it was a series of light installations that I did following Lisa's performance, and that was triggered by G.H. with some gestures. And basically, we did a bunch of performances in different spaces. First, we did in the barn upstate of G.H., then we did in my studio in New York. So I had some giant mirrors and all sorts of sculptures in my space, and was able to kind of activate them all with Reese's amazing guitar playing and G.H.'s gestures, which are kind of like an Etruscan sculpture. He's a little bit, ancient in his way he moves gestures. So anyway, I wanted to bring some of the work that I was doing with them back into the white wall sort of, gallery environment, and to also create a sculpture out of a performance piece. And that's kind of a complicated thing because as a visual artist or a sculptor, I'm like, wait a second, I just did all that work, I just put all these pieces up, and now it's gone, it's over. Nobody, a few people saw it, and it's over. So I was trying to conceptualize what a performance would look without a performance, if that makes any sense. So it's almost the shell, but it's the shell with some reminiscence, memory of an event, which is lights going on and off. And so in this case, they are triggered in a kind of random way. They're not planned in any way. I sort of planned the timing to make it so it made sense to me. And then they go on and off, and the music, which you're not hearing right now, is on its own loop. So there's this kind of an infinite development. It'll never be the same ever, or like the mathematics of when it will repeat itself are to be calculated, but it's rare. So but at the same time, you feel like it's something that's static, almost, that's fixed. So it's kind of the tension between something that's fixed and finite and defined, and something that's completely ungraspable, that's infinite, and that's can never be defined. It's always kind of outside of your grasp. And so these lights are, when they go on and off, they create a bit of a painting on the wall. So I was actually working with the wall as a part of the work. So I had a bit of a challenge because I was like, well, do I want it to be against the wall? Do I want it to be forward? So that I had the freedom of like choosing the location. There was also site-specific problems with like, where can you hang your work in a space? How does it work with everybody else's? So there's these parameters that kind of change your work so that it's not what you thought it was going to be, but it becomes something new. So in that process, you're kind of starting with an idea and finishing with another. And the joy is when you actually finish your work and realize that it is as powerful as you imagined it to be. So that's always good, because otherwise you're disappointed. So in terms of this wall and why I want to talk about it is because it's, I saw this amazing exhibition of Barney Newman in Washington, D.C., and I was just mesmerized by the colors that he was using, and the fact that he would just move the line left and right, yellow, and he would give it these very esoteric titles. And so it just kind of basically blew my mind, the relationship between the simplicity of lines and like it can become like almost a novel, a narrative, a story about, you know, mythology or gods, or, you know, so something ultra minimalist, but then it's incredibly evocative of story. And so here we have on this wall, without, you know, these lights, you can see a little bit better, but it creates like a moving painting that is completely ungraspable and completely immaterial. And then you have this space here, which is material, let's say, but it's actually just light, right? It's light. It's very minimalist objects, almost store-bought, I'd say. So I was trying to do like a modern art typography. So it's just like, you know, what can I get that's like direct, like not so complicated, and then turn it into like almost a religious or reverent experience where you're elevated through the experience of it into almost like a spiritual realm. And the music that Reese's made for this was created in Sacré-Cœur in Paris. So it was in one of the, you know, great churches in Paris with 400 guitarists, and it's sort of like really, the music, you know, takes you to the ether and beyond. So I'm kind of like, you know, riding on the wave of that music and also responding to it and also giving to Reese a context, because he was interested in the fact that for the first time in his life he was playing music with actual light structures around him. He'd never had that experience, so it kind of changed his experience as a musician. And so that's kind of the story behind this piece. And I've been working with different materials. I've been working with lasers originally when I started working with light in Namjoon Peg Studio, where we were spending 8 hours a day in the dark looking at a laser beam and figuring out how to turn it into art, which was already miraculous in itself, but we were trying to make, you know, art based on these patterns of lasers, which ended up in an exhibition at the Guggenheim Square Man. James, who's over here. And so that was my first work with light. You know, obviously when you make a painting, you make a drawing, you're always dealing with light. But so I worked with lasers and realized that it was a bit challenging to like lock it into an object, like, because it's just ephemeral. If you don't have particulate, if you don't have smoke, you don't see it. So then I started working with LED, and then I was like, oh, I started working with neon, and the neon is very particular because it's solid, but then if you knock it against the wall, it breaks, and then you have to start all over. So it's a very, so each of these mediums is different, and they have a completely different presence in a space. And so in this case, I wanted to like come back to the LED, which is kind of a difficult medium because it's kind of what people used to do in their, like their cabinets and their delis and whatnot. So it's kind of tricky to make it into art, because, you know, the eye kind of says, well, I just saw that down the street when I was buying my milk. So, you know, is this art? So there's a real challenge there. And I don't know, I'm just going a little bit.
Thank you, and we'll have opportunity to ask the questions as well after the presentations. And our second presenter is Anna Frants. She is internationally acclaimed new media artist, curator, art writer. She was born in Canada and currently residing in Miami. She is co-founder of Silent Media Art Lab and the Silent Foundation, and one of the leading voices in the cultural dialogue surrounding experimental art.
Well, first of all, I have to mention that I usually book the series. So this series is called Simple Letters, and this piece is called Stories of Life. I'm interested in the semiotic aspect of kinetic movement, as well as how human beings perceive moment. This installation is sort of kinetic happening that includes movement. The light as well as absence of light, shadows is also important. Sound collages with the internet video stories based on 3D animation. Humor becomes that multifaceted performer. So only his nuance can give people knowledge. Actually, while I was preparing, I read really interesting thing that artificial intelligence actually has trouble with the 24 frames or whatever animation. So it's really to analyze this, and I didn't know that. So it's kind of interesting. So that's only our neurons can perceive the animation. Motion perception has been of human interest for a long time. Aristotle, approximately 350 BC, reported illusory movement after doing constant movement. Jumping to our times, in the early 20s, among art artists everywhere embraced the moving image, playing a key role in developing semiotic cognition. Duchamp mounted a bicycle wheel on a skin and followed the body. Therefore, developed biomechanics, a method of acting based on movement, and conception with Stanislavski's focus on innate explanation and so on. And as of movement, prototype of flipbook called Illuminated was mentioned first as early as 1470. So, review. So basically, to describe the performance as I see it, Simple Letters is a personal universe that employs usefulness of his mentality in connection with your subconsciousness, as well as time that do not follow our dimensional physical. That's it.
And now we have another speaker who is joining us from Brussels, Alexandra Dementieva. She is a multidisciplinary artist born in Moscow and now based in Brussels. And her work incorporates sculptures and dance, music, cinema, performances. Her installation, which you see in that wall, demonstrates her interest both in technology and human psychology. Alexandra, can you please tell us about your work?
Hello, I'm very glad to have you, to see you just at a big distance. It's great, thank you for coming. And I would like to start just to explain that most of my work is inspired also by different events, what is happening, because I'm always influenced by what is happening in the world. So when I was working on this piece that you can see in the gallery space, it was also a lot of movement, like Wall Street, and after it's also Yellow Jacket Lakes in France. And so it was also a lot of media that had followed it, but all this, it was sort of the idea that is it good, is it bad, so just it was always a lot of questioning about this. And at that moment, I really felt that it's some sort of the immediate presence, it becomes some kind of the omnipresence. So just it's not really that we are following some kind of our own feelings, but we are listening and not making our opinion, decision or something, just following the different kinds of the television programs, radio, newspapers. So, and I would like to express in my work also some sort of the great metaphor of the world that surrounded us, and I consider that mass media sometimes is really just polluted our mind, and unfortunately it's less and less media that it gives us some kind of the like at least some kind of the true description what is happening, and the situation now is also with the climate change, with the wars everywhere, with the pollution. So this work is more or less about also mass media, because there is two light objects, they links directly to RSS lines of different magazines, newspapers that have their news that is more or less updated every few seconds on the net. And one object is looking every word links to the fear, what we is afraid of, and another to the desire we would like to have. And this is two motors of the human actions, why we are start doing something. So, and each light, which I have a lightning, it depends how many words it was picked up in different media. So just I have around, for each comics I have around more or less like 60, 75 sources coming from internet, and if for example the word love or tenderness is mentioned several times, computer calculates the percentage of it and to make lightning. And normally with two sculptures they can stay and to be just completely independent, because they always release to internet speak them, and they change with their light buttons, just not like buttons, but it just become more brighter or less brighter, so it's falling and also the words found. And you see this words because we have some red light to say that if I will give this possibility to speak, normally mass media is much more powerful than individually. So because of this I decided, okay, so just if it's not about speaking and writing, maybe it will be about presence. And our presence, because we believe that we breathe the air, so just this is breathing. So just when we breathe, just we have some kind of our life functioning. So the idea is that the spectator who is there, they can just blow in a moment of the sculpture and exchange the light buttons and exchange the word. Actually, the word is disappearing, it becomes nonsense. So our force, like individual, just to be together and to be present, not just let things go out. So this is installation about it.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. Thank you so much for staying up late. I know it's very late in Brussels, but art unites us over the oceans. Now we'll start the discussion. Thank you, Alexandra, Anna, and Shirley for your talks. And my first question will be to Shirley. The exhibition title alludes to the light's historical mythological significance and And how does it work? Tapping is this mystical, transcendent quality. You mentioned a little bit that was created originally for the church. And digital media today is extremely hybrid. And what are your thoughts on the role of technology in this journey?
Okay, I'll take your question backwards. So from the last two first. So technology, I think it's like money. It's like anything. It doesn't have a personality. So it's about who uses it and what they do with it. So the latest AI and everything that's happening can probably make incredible art, and it can, when it's just done by the machine, it's kind of grotesque, I think. So I don't know. There's it's just another medium, really. So, and it's about learning to use it. So it's a little bit out of our control, it seems, right now, and probably want to bring it into control so we humanize it. And when we humanize it, it seems like we give it some value which is not there right now. When you build imagery that's being produced or through text. So that's my response to that. And then in terms of the relationship between light and mysticism, is probably, for me the most mystical thing could be is light, basically. There's nothing more mystical. And so it's also the simplicity of it, right? I was looking at something online recently, which is like how you separate white light into its different spectrum, and then you can sort of play with it in different ways by creating shadows. So I'd have to show you the video, but it's just like breathtaking, basically, and it's so simple. And like there's things that phenomena that exist. For example, these full circle rainbows in the skies, and obviously the rainbow has been the reference to hope and to beauty. And again, speaking about what my experience was staring at single wavelengths, whether it be yellow or pink or red in the dark for hours on end, is you really get in touch with the object, if you call it an object of light. And it's just, there's nothing like it, basically. So in terms of this piece, what I did is, my effort was to bring the viewer into that space, into that elevated sort of experience of light, to have a direct contact with it so that you can feel it and just not have any distractions, any subterfuge, just the light. And then when you experience it, wow, then you kind of start to find something within yourself, kind of like a resonance of sorts.
Thank you, Raphael. Anna, now the question comes to you. The digital media today is extremely hybrid. So what are your thoughts on the new art forms it can bring, and what is the role of technology in the work for this particular exhibition?
Well, for me, it's an easy question. For me, technology is a material. It's no different from clay or paint or something else. So that's I basically use it as any art material. That's would be the answer.
Thank you, Anna. And Alexandra, the same question to you. What's the role of technology in your work? And what were the technical challenges you encountered when you were creating an installation?
Well, just I more or less join Anna this answer, because technology, this is like a new brush, like for painters who slowly received possibility first to paint with oil color, and after later it was gouache, and after later it was a different possibility to have some acrylic. So for me, the new technology, this is just possibility to enlarge the skills and to go maybe over some borders, and also technology gives for me possibility to make it interactive. I would like to say immediately that interactivity in the sense of immediate reaction, because we are all interactive. We are just enjoying, contemplate the painting, we are interactive with this painting. But when I'm talking about it, just its immediate reaction. And if we do some action, normally we are questioning ourselves much quicker than if we just let for our role. So new technology, in this sense, for me, this is some kind of a trigger, one of the trigger of emotion. Maybe it's very strange to say, but trigger of emotion. And definitely it's not very easy like fields, because already to arrive there, so just when I started it was nothing, at least in Belgium existed, so it means that I had to learn how to write some code, not perfect in it, but just I can write simple things, otherwise when it's too complicated and I'm using several senses, for example, like in this installation there is a input of RSS line, there is a manometer that we have to measure, there is also possibility of the change in the intensity of the light, that is very important. So in this case I'm collaborating with the engineers or programmers, and in the same time it's very interesting field, because I think that we go more and more in this direction, and probably very soon we will have much more prostheses, not only telephone, computer, but maybe we can still fly, so technology is with us. We like it to learn about this.
And what do you think is like were main technical challenges to discover while you were installing?
Well, just for me, this is a question. For installing the piece, normally I'm doing everything myself, so just like it's not really big challenge, because I already know how to install it. For me, it's much more difficult just to conceal it and to develop a sense that I would like to see it at the end. So this is much more difficult than installation.
Thank you, Alexandra. And I will now come back to you for the technical challenges, because you were speaking, because this work is site-specific. You were envisioning one way, and later you changed stuff. Did it dictate? Or who was the creator? You positioned the work, or the work was speaking to you how you wanted to see it? It's a hard.
It certainly changed from what I originally thought it was going to be. That's for sure. So yeah, site-specific, you always sort of adjust to your environment. There was a thing about the height of these actual links, and so I based the sculpture on the length, the standard length that you can buy. So it's kind of like that was my measure. But like I always can work in situ, so I make decisions on the spot, and sometimes it can mess things up, right? So I made some changes along the way, which made it so it was irregular, so I could never get it straight, no matter how many hours we spent on it, because I changed the plan somewhere along the way, which is just, once I kind of realized that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to fight this, I'm going to embrace it. It's got some kind of a irregularity, a handmade aspect to it. And then in the end, there was some extra bits that were sticking out, and that was a decision that I made to humanize it, because otherwise it's just mechanical. It's this long, therefore you make it this high, it can only bend in this way. So yeah, I adjusted with the material, and then I kind of personalized it by certain decisions, and I also let other people contribute, give opinions. And then we kind of make a general decision on the work, basically.
And now we come to the notion of time. So each of your works engages with time in different ways. Anna, let's start with you. How does your installation explore the relationship between time and light, and what kind of time you're most interested in depicting?
Well, time is naturally a part of my work. Since it is a performance, I already mentioned that the viewer becomes a performer. You take time passing by to observe the environment built for him. Neurons have to wait at least a second to analyze 24, in this case, frames of the flipbooks. Also, time takes a lapse using QR codes. It's code in real time, but in reality it's not real. It has a delay, as we know, because of the internet.
Would you like to comment what's your emotional time?
In this case, I mean, you talked about it earlier a little bit, which is the your experience of walking through something then gives you a time-based experience, right? It's not just standing and looking at an object. You're experiencing it, therefore it's due to. And the other thing is, because it's related to performances, there's like a memory of its origins. And you know, the performance that Reese is doing is something that happened in 2005. And so I'm bringing it with an audience clapping, etc., to kind of play with the idea of, well, where am I suddenly? Am I being clapped at? Or then you start to think about something that happened before and it's not in the moment. And then these, of course, these lights that appear and disappear, this painting that's evolving. So it's kind of a fixed something. So it's stopped, and then it kind of is always sort of moving. So it's actually kind of sort of edging into time. And always on a tension between those, the present and what just happened and what will happen. That's kind of and dancing with that reality that we're experiencing.
And Alexandra, now this comes to you with your notion of time in this particular work. What's your existence? Where's the sound?
She's on mute.
You have to put the sound.
Okay, great. So this, first of all, also this is important, also like light, because light and time at the same time, because here light gives the dimension of the changing of the patterns, and in the same time, it's not only changing the patterns, but it's keep us watching it, because it's also some kind of the light is something that's very attractive. Sometimes we like to see the light of the fire and or light of the moon, and also light of changing lights. It also could be a little bit compared with this, but equally attractive by something watching it. It's also our time and our time presence. And this is a part of installation that lights partly make you to be longer present inside of it. So just light and time.
Thank you, Alexandra. Now we'll open to the floor if anyone has a question for our artists, or if you'd like to hear elaboration on the works. Yes, please.
I'd love to hear whether political events actually impact any of the works that you make, or if it has any effect at all.
I think like Alexandra was actually, Alexandra, would you like to answer these questions and elaborate on your work about the political events and how you work with political events?
Well, it's like already I told that I'm always influenced what is happening. This is because of this, my installation sometimes is very different, because first of all, I'm influenced by some kinds of events that touch me personally, and after I would like to create some metaphor of this event in my art. So it means I'm trying to find the shape of it, the form of it. And for example, when I was working about, because I wanted to do some kinds of the work about climate changes, climate crisis, and possibility that one day we'll have to just to go somewhere to abandon our Earth. So I was thinking how I can express it, but express not really try to manifest, but to show it and physically try to introduction, just to transmit through my action. So I made during 7 days performances in near the seaside in Montenegro. When I was trying every day, just with being well dressed, to go under the water with little tube, just to have a little bit of air, try to install myself under the water with different kinds of the objects that we use every day on the normal condition on the earth. And every day it was a big failure. And afterwards I was recording everything because I had some small camera, underwater camera, it was recorded and all this action, and it looks completely ridiculous when we're just trying to say that, okay, let's see if everything will be completely ruined in the earth, let's go somewhere. Because we can't go somewhere, just somewhere doesn't exist. We have to keep what we have now here. But not to write it, I just did an action, and I think it's much easier to understand and to feel this urgency just to think about our climate and our mode of the life, what we can do and how we can help our planet. That's all.
Thank you, Alexandra. Now maybe we'll dive into the historical perspective. You talked about your installation pays homage to the tradition, but also pushing it forward. What do you see the future of the stories about behind?
Well, I already mentioned at the beginning that I work in series. So this installation, Stories of Light, is the second from the series. I guess there's more to come.
Any last thoughts on today's discussion?
So you're not asking that question, right? What you just asked? The future.
The future, I guess maybe the question would be, what kind of emotional journey do you hope the viewers will experience as they engage with your work? What are you hoping for the viewers to get out of it?
Yeah, so we talked about that.
Yeah.
It's just the elevated experience of, it responds a little bit to Don's question about the politics, which is, in my mind, one of the most important things to do is to create some vision for people. And so when you make art that inspires, you're creating a hope and vision, and therefore you're actually, healing people, you're healing the earth, and you're giving people the motivation to take care of themselves and to take care of the planet. So in that sense, it doesn't have to be necessarily directly political, it doesn't have to be engaged in some great problem of today. But it's not like we're ignoring the problems, we're actually responding to them by creating a meaning. And that's something that has been forgotten, I think. Even in the art world, it's been forgotten that one of the roles of the artist is to create meaning for humanity so that we actually know where we're going and why we're going there. So.
Yes, that's extremely important for a point. Any other questions for our artists?
Can I make an observation? You guys are all doing something so unique and separate from each other, but similar in its pursuit, in the sense that it's so unique. And it seems that it requires an amazing amount of courage to forge ahead by yourselves. And I think it's sort of like applaudable, and I wonder how you keep it up. You can say why.
I should always say, in my opinion, starting my access. In my opinion, art is the luxury of the mind. It's not necessary for survival. So I just enjoy it. That's for myself.
Well, so we have different opinions which is great. So we can have a whole debate about that. But
I started with my mind.
But in terms of like the three of us definitely have different work, and we met in St. Petersburg, and I met Anna in the Arctic, going up to the North Pole, and we sort of had this idea for an exhibition literally 10 years ago. I think that was going to be called Timekeeper, and then we brought it. Evelyn was asking for a show, and we brought our idea from 10 years ago here. So how do we keep it up? I mean, it's
Each other.
yeah. I mean, it's tricky. I think the hardest part is not so much doing it, but keeping the hope about it. Like, why am I doing it, and like, should I do it again? Right? Like, is it worth it? And that's when I was glad to walk in today after having forgotten about this installation a little bit, to realize, yeah, it was really worth it. But yeah, to kind of be in here and experience it. So I hope to, give it a future, basically. Multiple pieces based on this idea.
I just want to throw something out that we haven't really touched on, because one of the things that I really love about all these pieces in their own way is that there's some joy, some lightness, no pun intended, but like this is interesting. It's also a little whimsical because of the mechanical aspect of it. Raphael's piece is sort of beautiful, and just the simplicity of it. It's not silly, but it's happy. There's a joy in all of these pieces that I think is interesting.
Thank you. It's definitely not like a dystopian exhibition.
Thank God.
Yeah. No, it's true. There are exhibitions that are dystopian, and you do walk out a little bit with a feeling of it, pain in your heart. And this is, I think definitely we had an interaction, and as people, we have an interaction. So this was like a part of our harmony as three artists getting along, and how we like to have discussions with that upbeat kind of, Anna's work is very, very humor. There's tons of humor in her work, so it's like.
Thank you very much. I always leave a space for the viewer, because every person has his own or her own association memories, so it kind of adds to the piece.
And Alexandra also
And
has
Alexandra
so much humor.
Playfulness.
No, and also you work in exist without artists, without the viewer.
Yes, I think that, because I don't hear all this very well, just questions from the public, because I have sometimes a reverberation, but like I understood that the pieces are joyful and looks, some kinds of make people always nice and feeling nice. So, yes, I think that the Wald always gives this possibility just to give some sort of feelings, not very heavy, but just like some sort of possibility to give this joy, but at the same time to connect. So just maybe this is good, I think, for all the three pieces, because I think that they work together very well.
Thank you, Alexandra.
I just wanted to add that as a spectator, it's an interesting storyteller. I can see you kind of entering a fairy tale, where in some parts you participate, you walk through the sculpture and kind of change something, and then Anna's piece kind of tells you the story, and you become like spectator, like a puppet theater or theater, where you sit and kind of listen and observe differently. And then with Alexandra's sculpture, again, you anticipate, so it's like a little path, like a tale that each piece adds to another in a kind of audio, physical way, which is very interesting.
Thank you. That's what we're hoping for.
three different leads coming together in one exhibition. Three strong female personalities. Fighting.
Two in presence, yes.
So, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.